We are live, and this is Trekland HQ. Just a second. Oh no, we can go on. Who needs it? Who cares? This is episode 251 of Life Support Live, and now I'll do it the right way. It's 6 days later. Renee, Terry, and April. Yes, for real. This is episode 251 of Trekland Tuesdays live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming to you here from the home of sanity and clarity, I'll promise you, and the big picture of everything Star Trek, as we do every week here with the Tortellis, coming out of Portal 47, everything Trekland. Boy, what a week this has been all over the place. Interesting week in entertainment, for one thing. But I won't even talk about how the Oscars went slap happy. We'll keep this to Trek. And it's still been an entertaining week watching what's going on in the real Trek world and in the sidebar of fandom. So that's what we're going to get to. Hey, if you are a first timer with us, you know to jump in, I hope, with the chat. There's a lot of good TTLers over here. The Trekland Tuesday live bunch is here. This is my only live stream now, so glad to see everybody. I look forward to chatting here. Got a lot of things to bring up, and I've got a long overdue, a 2-week overdue topic I want to talk about last. But before then, if you're one of the regulars, jump in, get all your hellos out of the way. You know how we'll do this. I'll get off on my soapbox for a bit, and then we'll take a short break, and I will deal with the Parrot Analytics weekly ratings, or will I this week? We'll see where that goes. And then I will for sure officially get to the chat. Now, if you are coming to us on Facebook, you're only going to see the Facebook chat. If you're on YouTube and Twitch, you'll see everything. All right. And if you're watching this live, that's great. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you should check it out and watch it with us live on Tuesday when you get the chance. I know daytime is a little rough for folks in the States, but glad to have everybody here. We are global. That's why I do this. And I love talking to everybody around the world. It's great for your perspective. So speaking of perspectives, what kind of a week has it been since the last Picard aired? Wow. Well, I think this last episode and the reaction to it has episode 4 of Picard has been very eye-opening about where we are in the world right now. Number one, I've seen, everyone's talking about the time travel, the threads and all that. I've seen people loving it. I've seen people absolutely, positively puzzled, confused, and angry. Most of all, people are reacting and talking. Now, I know that's going to bring up those old feelings of the 10% troll community out there, right? The weirdness. But this is the kind of situation where a lot of people are sincerely flustered, and it's bringing up some great comfort. For one thing, I'm always preaching about how you should follow the socials. Okay, there's some social explanations out there. It's brought up a whole paradigm level of what people should expect and not expect in an episode. There is everything from I don't know where. Wait, watch this. I didn't plan for this, but I hope this is it. Are my notes from the show here? Yes. No, that's Discovery. Watch this. It's been a kind of a wacky week, gang, and it's not going to get any better over the next month, I can tell you that. But I did want to share this. It's what I've done since I was working on the companion with, with the Next Generation, keeping the notes. Here we go. Yeah. Here's my page of notes for The Watcher. And I know it's really things, I'm going to go back through it eventually and make a scour through the episode, but the things that hit me right off, so much wacky stuff. We have learned, if you haven't learned by now, you need to pay attention to anything in graphic form. So many Easter eggs. I mean, take that, Lower Decks. People are frame grabbing Picard. People are more and more with these shots on the Stargazer. the new Stargazer, and then in the Confederation mirror-ish universe of this timeline, and then now with 2024 LA slightly twinged 3 days away from the conversion point or the convection point or the inflection point or whatever it is that's in everyone's little temporal mechanics timeline charts this week. But I get ahead. People are all looking at everything from, yes, the date, April 12th, 2024, April 15th, 2024. What does that mean to, well, I tell you, did you see Floyd's Barbershop? Did you see the 21st Street Mission? Every time travel, every altered timeline episode, movie of Star Trek, you've got references to Star Trek 4. You got references to Future's End from Voyager. You got references to Future Tense from DS9. You've got City on the Edge of Forever. You've got, have we had anything from Twilight on Enterprise yet? I don't know. Or any time travel anomaly on Enterprise. But I was even writing down I haven't figured out the code yet, what the meaning is. But even the mugshot pictures when Rios and Dr. Teresa were Ramirez were booked into the prison, into the jail at Castaic. No, I mean, lots of things through people. There's a lot of delightful moments. Yes, I fell off my chair when the term supervisor was used, and that wasn't even a graphic. Just blowing my mind of, is Laris really the Laris that we know, or is this a doppelganger, or what's all that about? And look, these are topics that have been debated online and in everybody else's YouTubes ad nauseum. I'm just giving you my quick take here. So much stuff. But I was getting to the point where I was writing down the numbers on the tops of the LA police cars. And the number of the ICE transfer bus, 735, by the way, coming down Highway 14 to Castaic. Why was it coming around Highway 14? I mean, if we're going to get into local LA SoCal geography, let's make it tight. And they were certainly doing that when you could hear the police chatter about the downtown area that was being cordoned off. So much funky stuff. Did you catch the Brenner sub-headline in the paper, otherwise getting Q's attention at the very end? Yeah, Chris Brenner from Future Tense, the elite media mogul, internet mogul, who Jadzia wound up with, luckily. And of course, Jackson Roy, Kurt Plaza, and so many more. But here's the thing that knocked me off my seat. Personally, Raffi just putting on that seatbelt like she did it every day. And not so much that Seven is driving a car, but that they're throwing around the lingo. You're going to drive. They said parking lot. It was a very natural situation. Now, Raffi, I don't know. Seven, I'm all good for this. And why was she a stunt driver? She had all those years of Tom Paris and his holograms on Voyager. I could twist that one that way. And I haven't even seen anybody take that one on in their public tweets and Instagram channels or ask the question. Maybe I missed it. If you did, let me know. And again, we're going to build up. This is going to be a really fun chat today, but I won't get to you until after we take our midway break, okay? Especially you Twitchers. Hang in there with me, okay? No, there was a lot of that. And then, of course, at the very end, the blonde woman reading the Dixon Hill novel by Tracy Torme. That's not original. That's been done ever since Mike Akuda used Tracy Torme, the original writer of The Big Goodbye for season 1 Next Generation, in actual graphics as a throw-out in joke to whoever was involved with the staff on that week's show. But that was on screen and picked up, and we all recorded it. And then Memory Alpha made it official, I guess, even though I'd done it in 1988. But Tracy Torme is the author of the Every Dixon Hill novel. It was set decoration for season 1 of Picard, if you saw it on tour. And now, bang, here she is reading that with Q in their Europa patch jacket. What is going on here? A lot of people were sincerely wondering about the blonde woman, the blonde chick at the end. Well, here's the proof of the pudding. Yeah, you could go to IMDb and see that her character name was Renee Picard, or you could have just had, assuming you were so equipped, you could have just had your captioning on, right? Your closed captions, because she was given the name Renee in the closed captions. And if you've been paying attention, Renee Picard was drop mentioned in the first episode when Picard's giving his speech in the prime timeline, normal timeline ceremonies there, where he called out Elnor in the front row. If you haven't figured it out by now, there's several things going on here. One, take no name drop or graphic in the background for granted. In fact, I don't think it really shows up in the edited cut, but if you watch the Ready Room's story and interview, um, there is a shot of the throwback poster from City on the Edge of Forever that Doug Drexler recreated. I think he tweeted about it. I was looking for it and didn't see it. Then I saw it on that B-roll, at least, that behind the scenes footage. The boxing match photo behind Kirk and Spock when they come through the Guardian Forever portal into New York, which has been recreated more than once on DS9 for Tribulations. Yeah, that was in the shot too. So there's no shame. All the Easter eggs are there. Again, take that, Mike. So much fun stuff is here. But if you're not watching the closed captions, you're going to miss even more. You're going to miss even more little tidbits. Bakovich's name on Discovery was revealed first on the closed captions. That's number one. Number two, you need to be following these people. You need to be following not just the actors. Sometimes the actors are the last people to get permission or feel confident. And they're not the ones taking the cool picture. The creatives are taking pictures of their work. And the fanboy and the fangirl creators among them are especially taking the pictures. So you need to be following all of them. And Instagram is so much better than Twitter and Facebook because it's meant to be image driven, maybe even occasionally a video. So that's Dr. Trek's advice to you once again, because a lot of folks were much further along when all of these questions erupted. Now, brings me to a third point. A lot of folks have had in this discussion on the yay and nay of the punk on the bus and why is he remembering. There's been so much about temporal mechanics and timelines and what's a reverse timeline and what's a branch out, and the fact that we're not in the prime line here. We're in the alternate Confederation timeline's own past, which means that is why Guinan did not know who Picard was, which was another flummoxing point. There were a lot of these. These have all been pretty much explained. These have all been pretty much, thankfully to me, whether you enjoyed it or not, they were addressed up front. I have not seen a single point float by that wasn't pre-thought out. I haven't seen any oopsies go by. The closest thing to an oopsie is Kirk Thatcher, the punk on the bus, 40 years later, grabbing his neck in a memory sync of Spock. And if the prime hadn't happened, then why is he remembering the nerve pinch? I'm just going to say, this is the first time in 40 years he got asked to turn down his boombox on a bus, whether it was in San Fran or LA. The guy gets around. Will he be in San Diego next on one of the trains that take people into Comic-Con and he'll be totally ignored? I don't know. Explanations for that. The echo effect. No, they weren't there. Maybe it was the Confederation, Kirk and Spock. But the point here is that people are asking questions and fans are having all kinds of different reactions to all these questions. What's been great is to see how that plays out on socials, because we're a ways from doing that. We're a ways from seeing it, this depth of detail on any of the little, good on them for putting out these little short promo 3 minutes from the social media team at Paramount Plus. But there's no way they're going to hit all of these things all over the place. The visual feed is just stacked too deep, and the fans are grabbing onto it too quickly for that to happen. So really, the best communication mode here has been with the creatives direct on their social media. So who have we hit here? Renee. Yeah, you would know Renee if you were watching the closed captions or digging around. But people would say, and I've seen this week, this is all well and good that the creators are talking this way. Which brings me around to another creator that you should be following if you're not, because you're sure not seeing him on screen yet. When someone's talking for the production, you're seeing Akiva Goldsman, who's been around the Kurtzman era since day one and is a professed old school fan. Yes, he was in line for one of the New York, the actual Star Trek Lives original committee cons in the 70s, in the early 70s. So he has his street cred literally standing on the sidewalk to get in. But the guy who is co-show running season 2 and season 3 is my long ago cohort friend. And boy, I sympathize for him back in the day. Terry Matalis. Came in as a PA, but he was very quickly and for several years Brannon's assistant, his executive assistant. His front office handled that. But he was also trying to be an aspiring writer. And if you check the credits, my memory is all of him being Brannon's long-suffering aide de camp. But he was also working on his career, and he wrote 2 or 3 stories that were bought and paid and sold on Enterprise. So he was building a career then. Of course, in between working on several other series, he wound up getting to showrun and co-create and showrun and oversee the entire 4 seasons of the TV version of the movie 12 Monkeys, which itself is all about time travel and intricacies of mangled and shattered, see what I did there? Shattered timelines and making sense of them. And on the writer's side of it all, keeping them straight. So even though he, like Dave Blass on the production side, came into this season and Picard totally unheralded, although I was trying to sound the alarm. I didn't know Dave until last fall. Terry, I'd known. So good on him. He's not taking near enough public credit. Fandom is starting to come around and read. And yes, he's done some interviews now. Don't think any camera work yet, but he's done some interviews, including with my friend Ryan Britt, who writes all over the place. Reminds me of me back in the communicator day, but he did a great piece talking about how all the timeline threads do make sense. At the same time, our friend and author David Allen Mack wrote a wonderful piece, a blog piece on his own blog, about how the temporal mechanics work and how there are confusing points, but if you look at it this way, it does make sense. And if you go over to my Facebook, my Trekland Facebook, I've posted that around to try to steer people that way. Now, reading what Terry has said, Terry is co-showrunner, and that's why I spotlighted him. Terry, reading even what Dave has said from the sidelines. Of course, Dave's not only an author, he's a consultant on several of the shows, especially animated, but hey, he's right there in the mix. They've laid out the plan. And yes, not all of it was given in the episodes. What's been funny is to watch people push back. Oh, well, that's what you say. But this still doesn't make sense. Really? An echo for the... Really? No, I would rather have Confederation Kirk come back and do it. Okay, fine, whatever. It's not a story point. Here's all the options you can pull from. What's been funny is to see that, I don't know, the ODD section of fandom push back. And a couple of these threads I've been in where I kind of say, the man did the 12 Monkeys series. Well, I don't care. It's like, these people are going to butcher this stuff. I'm just really, would you rather it just be pablum or they go there? Because I had my questions. Hey, I'm saying my biggest question was knowing how the hell Raffi and Seven knew how to behave in an early 21st century 4-wheeled vehicle. I got Seven handled. Maybe she shared it with Raffi and their months together. I don't know. Maybe seatbelts are more universal. Maybe Raffi was an old... I don't know. But that's the thing that bugged me the most in the whole... Everything else I could see. I could follow. For a second there, wondering about Guinan not knowing Picard. But look, it's such a major part. You don't blow that. You don't blow that. If these people haven't shown you something, at least in the 4 episodes of this season, of this series, that they know what the hell they're doing and they're enjoying the hell out of doing it. After the Stargazer, after all the Skull collection in the Confederation Picard's study. I mean, come on, folks. So yes, you'd better get your notebook and you'd better take notes and you'd better be prepared to go back and make 2 or 3 passes before you even get out of the house on your social media, because you'll get run over. There's so much there and it's so much fun. And it's not even a matter of screen grabbing everything and counting the Easter eggs the way Lord X turns into, which is a ton of fun. This is another slice. So I'm going to say, yeah, Terry's a name you might not know. You better be paying attention. Finally, though, people will say, this is all well and good, and I appreciate the explanations. But an episode should contain all the explanations for all this on its own. You shouldn't have to go look to socials to find out what the creators had in mind. It should be inherent in the story. Well, that'll bring us back to one of our really, really early topics here when Discovery was first on, which is it's a whole new world. These aren't standalone episodes. As much as they're getting the knack down, I see you, Nepenthe, of having their own flavor, you can take a title and connect it to an episode much easier than you could the first couple of years of Discovery. Even with that standalone personality, it's still a streaming show. It's still a serialized show, I should say. It's still serial storytelling. And whenever you think of that, good or bad, whether you're in favor or not, whether it's your preference or not, whether you're hanging on waiting for Strange New Worlds in another month, 6 weeks with bated breath or not, that's the nature of the beast. These are not standalone episodes. They are chapters in a novel. And as we said way back on whatever the first year or so of Trekland Tuesdays Live, you got to look at an episode now as a segment between the commercials. You got to look at it as an act of an old school 1 hour. Would you have all these questions? Would you be demanding answers of what happened in that 60 minutes? If it was the same thing back in the day, if you were watching a 10-minute slice of a Next Generation episode, no, you'd wait for the whole story to complete. And that's what we got here. We've got a 10-hour movie, a 10-hour episode, if you will. And if you're going to sit back and think of what a 10th of an episode looked like, what do you want to say? There were 43 minutes. If every 4.3 minutes watching your favorite Next Gen show, you demand to know the answers or think it was a failure, you want to know the backstory and the reasoning behind all this, every 4.3 minutes, then too bad they weren't 47-minute episodes anymore. It'd be every 4.7 minutes. But that's the equivalent. That's what we're looking at here. So the explanations are going to come. The explanations are going to come. It's a pattern you can go back and now it's gotten better over time as all of these people involved, the specific writers and producers and the Kurtzman world at large. The Secret Hideout world has gotten much better from Discovery season 1 up until now at laying out how to do a serialized season without some of the hitting the brakes and hitting the gas and hitting the brakes and hitting the gas and feeling that jerk around feeling. It's coming much smoother now, but there's still holes, but the story's not over. So yeah, they're not going to tell you all the reasoning behind this. There are clues. There are clues. Renee Picard was in episode 1. The term supervisor was used for Laris. Or is that Laris? She certainly got rounded ears. Was Laris a fake Romulan in the future? Or is this version of Laris rounding her ears and hiding out in early 21st century Earth? Okay, well, that's a mystery that will be unspooled. People are used to that. I'm not so sure why the explanations of the temporal timeline twists. Why Guinan didn't know Picard. They talk about it. He's in shock. We see him in shock, not knowing that she doesn't know who he is. He adjusts because he's a hero and moves on, keeping his questions within to be answered later, hopefully. That's what they expect the audience to do. So it's just a chapter in a book that will not have all the answers. Meanwhile, after 4 chapters, between the visual gang and the written concept gang, this has been amazing, and fans are talking about it all the good ways and to a depth even more so than just making screenshots to line out your collections and lists from all the items in the collector's ship on lower decks. Yeah, it's been an awesome week. I wonder if that will reflect in the Parrot Analytics ratings. We'll have to see. But I started this hour with 3 names. Renee Picard. By the way, I'd love to go back and retcon the Picard Family album because the Picard Family album was full of Picard Family references. And there is no one all up until Picard's own time and his dad. There's no one in the ancient times unless you found historically ancient Picard folks. We now have a mid-history Picard person to insert there who totally fits the bill. The fact that it's a woman is awesome. And the fact, if you paid attention, the fact that we got the backstory on why Picard has an English accent after all these years, done and dusted. And if you missed it, go back and watch. The Picard family was run out on a rail. They fled as refugees during World War II, left their place to the Nazis, and then reclaimed it generations later. Plenty of time for the British accent to take hold. Unintentionally having a lot of resonance right now with the Ukrainian situation, all the tragedy there and the refugees. Totally not intended when it was written a year and a half ago, but there you are. Another interesting twist of fate. But I did have a third name, Renee Terry Metellus, who you need to go read his original explanations for what's going on if you want to get ahead of the story. They got it covered. No spoilers, but enough to explain it away. So my God, Terry, and if the cred of writing 12 Monkeys for 4 years isn't enough to give you faith and hope getting through this season, I don't know what to tell you. So Renee, Terry, and April. And here's my departure point. This is not about Picard. It's not even about last week's episode or Picard at all. No, I'm talking about the finale. I'm going to try this again. We'll see how we go. I'm going to talk about the finale of Discovery. This is the title card. I mentioned this last week. I talked to the Portales when we had Ask Dr. Trek in Europe this last week for April with Love. I fell off my chair because who we're talking about is, can we do this? Yay. April Nocifra, who had been a supervising, she climbed the ladder and up to supervising producer on the current shows, the live shows, and Discovery especially. And I was so happy to see her. That April, I knew was battling cancer and had been for several years, and I did not know she'd passed. I was in shock when the title card went by. I was trying to figure out what April that was. I didn't even connect those dots at first. I'm still looking into this. I'm still trying to find out what's going on, but apparently she passed in December, and there was not really any public acknowledgement, no obituary, no one. I'm still a little, people in the inner show circle were aware. In fact, Chad Rubel did a wonderful, if you follow him on Twitter, he's an editor on Discovery, and he did a wonderful little 3 or 4 part post talking about how she got him hired for Discovery because she had known his work prior on some of their overlapping projects. He did a wonderful little 4 or 5 tweet sequence, his little memorial to her. I'm still kind of in shock. I didn't know her really well. This is a shot from when the Stanley Cup visited, I think that's Rubidoux there. The hockey fans on Enterprise were many, and he brought the Stanley Cup by, and everybody got to come in and touch it. In fact, I think that's Scott right there. But that's April right there. I just happened to find this in some random pics I had from back in the day. I knew April when she was a PA, when she was briefly married to Dave Rossi, when she had some health issues back in the day, and when she decided to get on the production track through post-production and climb that ladder. And she did it for the old Treks. And then when everything ended in 2005, she got herself out and got herself climbing the ladder on her own, which is where Chad knew her, other people, and got herself aboard, to my wondrous surprise, because at the LA premiere, I had not seen or well, I take that back. There was a time in the dead times, in the fallow period, where our friends at Memory Alpha, the good old anal Germans, in the effort to pull out as much as they could on people they didn't know who weren't actors, had gotten a little overzealous and were finding random bits and pieces of April's life that had nothing to do with Star Trek or even the industry. Other jobs she'd worked outside the industry. And when you're trying to climb the ladder, you'd like for the world to know that that's where your interest is. And it was really kind of a muddy way. Anybody who was looking to hire her, She was afraid, which is a common thing. They were looking to see what was online about her. And we're not talking about embarrassing party pics on Facebook. We're talking about like how many other random jobs did you have that seems like it dilutes your interest if we're going to hire you for this step up position. She was concerned about that. And she wrote me and said, Larry, is there anything we can do to clean up my memory alpha here? Some of this stuff is just ridiculous and it's trivial. It has nothing to do with Star Trek or the industry. And it took a year or two or three because people resist having their precious words changed on memory alpha. But it did happen. It did happen. It took a while and it was frustrating. But that was a little interaction. And the last that I heard of April until this was so awesome. The night of the premiere of, this was September 17. I'm out in the lobby with all the mobs of people just trying to see people I knew, see who I knew. And bang, there's April. And I grabbed a selfie with her. I was so thrilled. I was like, oh, you're here because you worked on the old show. No, you work on the new. Awesome. My God, it's one of the rare people who made the leap from Berman era to Kurtzman era. And if they do that, it's because hard work and they've got enough other cred built up that somebody saw them working recently, efficiently, wonderfully, and were brought in. She was in that great middle, I guess. And it was so good to see her. And at the time, I looked at her and I said, okay, gonna have you on Portal 47 some month as a guest. And she said, absolutely, absolutely. I knew we couldn't do spoilers, but just to have her on as somebody who went from PA to the position she had here in post-production as a supervisor. Now, translating that, and you saw she was out front. She was above the line. She's getting residuals as a supervising producer overall. So good on April. And I knew in recent years that since this was coming up on 5 years ago, 4.5 years here, still seeing her in the credits, knew she was still working on the series, hadn't really had any contact, and then saw where she was, she'd had a cancer diagnosis and was fighting it. And I even was following her on her socials, and we interacted a little bit there, but saw she was really getting into photography and really putting some focus into something else, especially, I believe, when she wasn't working full-time on the series. And indeed, her Instagram account, she last posted it about 15, 16, 17 weeks ago with some photography. So yes, I was very shocked, taken aback. Yeah, when this popped up. When that popped up. So I felt the need to give April a little mention here. Chad did it wonderfully in his Twitter. From what I can tell, I'm still looking on this. I hadn't even seen an obituary anywhere. Memory Alpha and her Wikipedia page still list her as present tense. No one has indicated that she's passed. Could be for the lack of facts to base anything on. But it is someone who went before their time. It is someone who clearly deserved an ending panel. Interesting how we'd had that prior to Over the Run. People had been mentioned up front. But I guess in the new era, they're going to be ending cards. It's very appropriate. When you have a recap, this was for part 2 of the finale sequence for the season. So it was kind of intense. Would have been a little, maybe not the right tone to be up front with a recap intensely like that. So the final fade out was very apropos. Took me by surprise, but launched into all of this reflection and remembrance. And people deserve to know who April was and how she worked across the generations there on Star Trek. Maybe we'll have more on that in a future point. But I did want to, before we got further away from the moment when people are Googling and searching for who April is, to put my 2 cents in. I did want to do that. All right. I think that's going to do it for the soapbox here. So I just want to let you all know in a moment like that I do appreciate everything that's happening. We are in a real transition time with Trek and with fandom. Can you tell? That's why I really appreciate everybody doing something like the photos there and not trying to show it to you off a pad. I hope that worked. We'll keep experimenting along here, but I really want to thank all of our Patreons for being part of this, right? So, yes, Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne Marie Siegel, Keith Rombach, Justin Porteous, Nathaniel Robinson, and Blaze K. Thank you for being one of our patrons and a TTLer, and especially our live wires, Rusty Harold, Halbert Gunn Johnson, Robert McLean, Alan Hoensi, Jerapol, Byron Bailey, Dave Gregory, our newest live wire, Gay, Cleven Lundstrom, Cleven or Cleven? I will find out from you sometime. And Casey Shafsky, who puts in a little bit more every month. Appreciate all of you all for being with us every month. And if you want to do the same, it's over at Patreon. Very simple, $5 and $10 levels I've got there. I owe a lot of people a lot of prior interviews there. I keep saying I'm going to get on it. It's crazy time, but I will get on it. Patreon.com/Trekland. Patreon.com/Trekland Live. Thanks, everybody. And hey, before we take the break, if you are leaving us, wanted to let you know about a couple of exciting things coming up. Another sneak peek here, the Great Birds Origins Tour that I'm doing on my own for 2 days in August, next to the end of Gene Roddenberry's 100th birthday, his centennial year. He'll be 101 on August 19th. This is actually the weekend before Trek Vegas this year, since it's late because it's at Bally's. If you're interested in that, let me know. Get in touch. I'll have the page up again fairly soon. Just wanting to let you know that. Also, if you are going to Trek Vegas, the Wednesday after that is a one-day tour out to Valley of Fire with Geek Nation Tours, with me leading the way. That's happening. What's also happening is some things for 2020 tour-wise. Now that we're opening up and we can do this, tour-wise, there are two different announcements. One around July, we're going to be having a big Geek Nation Tours old-fashioned LA and San Francisco location tour with some fun. We're going to be announcing this formally in a couple of weeks. So I'm really excited. That's what I've been working on. But also, we're going to offer an LA Away Days tour. We're going to offer that on right around the time when people are going to be coming into LA to get on the cruise next year in February, late February. So I'll be announcing some open-ended, you can customize a Trex tour, or I'm going to have an LA Away Days planned tour, simple, 4 or 5 sites in one day, and people can just jump on that, no brain power required. Okay, I've already got 2 Trekland Treks coming along, though, here in the next couple of months, so everything is opening up. Let's hope it stays on this track. And if you are interested in that, I don't have the card here, but look over at treklandtreks.com, and that will give you all the information for how things stand until I tweak more as we reopen. I know that studio tours at Paramount are going to resume in May. That's a thing to wait on, too. Otherwise, around the decks here, yes, Trek Files, our podcast at Roddenberry, is up. There's another new one this week, another chapter in my interview last year with the great Ralph Sininsky, the original series director, one of our last pipelines we have live into that time. We talk about 2 more of his episodes this week. Obsession and Return to Tomorrow, which weren't exactly a highlight for him, but had their interesting turns. It's always amazing to hear directly from someone who was there in the 60s. Trek Files is there, as are the documents on Facebook at the Trek Files too. And anywhere on socials, it's Larry Nemechek's Trekland. Please like and subscribe on YouTube if you're there right now or you haven't. Larry Nemechek on Twitter, aside from Instagram and Facebook. And of course, portal47.net is our flagship here at Trekland of my businesses. It is like a mini con all year long. We got a lot of portales in the chat right now. Tomorrow night is guest night. It's guest night telebriefing, and I can't wait. Someone you do not know at all. His name's Eric Alba. He was a visual effects associate through TNG, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise years. You don't know him. He's talking about visual effects, but the reason, that's why we have Portal 47, for the folks you don't know. He photographed behind-the-scenes shots all over the lot for years and years and years. He has some incredibly everyday but lost forever type subjects. And he's sharing a lot of that with us, as well as some, visual effects and some cast and crew stories too. But his photography is just, some of you, if you're following him and you've stumbled across it online, It's amazing. Shots of the casting office with actors lined up to audition, a few of whom you might recognize as they're there trying to get their break. I mean, just some really fun stuff, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. That's what the Portal is. That's Portal 47. We'd love for you to hop over and join up if you want to. Otherwise, that's going to do it for us right now. I'll be back in a second after this little break with the Parrot Analytics, and we'll really dive into chat and see what I've stirred up. Otherwise, for right now, please, please, please stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke. Check your sources. Even when it seems like good news, it might be propaganda. It might be a troll buttering you up. So, yeah, check it out. Most of all, trek well. Everybody. All right. All righty. So let's jump into the parrots. Something may be afoot with the parrots. Basically, there's been no weekly roundup posted since the week ending March 11th. That means it's been 2 weeks now. I've written them to say, are the weekly reports now a thing of the past? The top 10 in the US? They're still doing their little analytics reports and output. If you want to look at series by series, you can still do that. And that's what I'm going to do here. Because we've got Picard causing a stir, causing a huge kerfuffle. Lots of people talking about Picard. I don't know if it broke into the top 10 or not. We can't tell because there's nothing posted for this week. There was never anything posted for last week. So either that person is on vacation with no backup, or Parrot Analytics has ended the weekly public reports, which will be the end of an era and something I've done since week 1, 2, or 3 of our get-togethers here. But in any case, we can still look at this. They use a mnemonic. They use a metric, an algorithm called average demand expression, which is all of us talking across all the interwebs and the critics and the studio, whatever, it's basically a glorified buzz factor. And if I'm looking season by season, they're doing rolling averages. They put everything, terrestrial, cable, satellite, streaming is in one big continuum. And they're looking for the median show, the average show across that. Now, they call exceptional shows the top 4%, or 0.4%. They call outstanding the top 2%, right? 2.7%. Every Star Trek of the modern era that's ever premiered may not be in that top 10 every week that we've usually looked at, but they have all remained in the top 2.7% of online buzz. They've all been outstanding, if not exceptional. This week is no exception. So, Picard is at 30.6 times more popular than that average show. It's in the outstanding 30.6 times, okay? On a 30-day average, and here's what you'd expect, the demand as seen by the online buzz, the average demand expression, is up 92%. So yay on Picard. That's it. Its 60-day trend line was up and then went down a hair and then is back up again. So it's all very healthy. It's 99.3 times more popular than anything in any action adventure show in the US. We're talking about the United States on all of this. So that's its kind of key number, 30.6 times more popular. Discovery, which is still people talk about, is at 23 times more popular than an average show. It's outstanding in their ranking. It's still in that top 2.7%. Its demand the last 33 days, even though it's been 2 weeks, as I mentioned, since their finale, its demand on the 30 days is up 33%. Its trend line was really peaking and then dropped a little from the post-finale letdown. It's overall over 30 days at 99.7% of all the drama genre. Parrot has Discovery and drama, Picard and action adventure. Don't ask me why. But they're both very helpful. Prodigy even, because I think Prodigy still finds new viewers all the time. It's not so much of it since it's animation and in that audience. Now, its at 12.5 times more popular than an average show. It's still in the outstanding category. Its demand over 30 days is down 31%. There's not new episodes out there, but its trend line is still descending but flat. It's not crashing. It's not spiking either without new shows, but it's being very healthy. It's at 93% of all the action adventure genre, not animated action adventure, but all action adventure. So here's Picard is at 99% and Prodigy 93% and change of the same category as defined by Parrot. They're all in the exceptional, in the outstanding range. Yes, they're all in the outstanding range. So the Star Treks are doing just fine compared to everything else and streaming. I'm surprised Picard's not spiking a little more. Maybe we'll see that trend line happen. Maybe some folks are just finding out about Picard. Maybe some folks who didn't like season 1 are just now getting the message that season 2 is a different critter. And in 20 years from now, they'll all be the same. And people will laugh at how people saw season 1 and season 2 so violently different. But that's hindsight, ain't it, folks? All right. Well, did I give you something to chew on there? Let's see what's going on with the chat. So good day, good week, everybody. Sorry about the late start. We had some technical tests and all of that. So we will see what's happening. I did have a moment to test pictures, so I'm hoping that was going well. Boom. Yes, a rerun. No, not a rerun. Hey, everybody. Good to see everybody. Hey, Dick Davies. I don't know how often you got to hear on live, but good to see you. Good to see all of our friends. Good to see all the TTLers. Hi, Halbjorn. And thanks again for being we'd love to have you be a Portale, but thanks for being a Patreon, a TTLer here. Let's see. Yes. Oh, I didn't even talk about the whole watcher thing. See, Guinan was going to be too easy. Guinan's a listener, not a watcher. And there was something in me saying they're either going to play with that or go, well, duh, of course she's not a watcher. She's a listener. The minute they equated supervisor with watcher, my eyes, I couldn't see them, but my eyes got very big. Didn't expect that left turn, but now it sure sent a lot of people into, I had no idea what they'd been doing with supervisors and Gary Seven's people in the books, in the official licensed books over the years. And now how much of that may be incorporated. Because my first thought was, if Laris is round-eared, if she's human-eared and not Romulan, then she's either disguised now or disguised later. But even then, there's a 400-year gap there. So were the supervisors time travelers? We never saw enough of Gary Seven to know what's going on, except that he had a shape-changing cat. He had a shape-shifting cat who could take human form, or an alien that's a shapeshifter that could take human or cat form. That was a punchline that was never resolved in canon, and it's always been a question mark. And if you're hanging around with those kind of people, who are the aliens who trained Gary Seven? I know they've addressed this in canon. I know now the Aegis, have done. There's a whole backstory created in books, roughly, not set into as early on as consistent a canon as the books got into since the end of Enterprise, but it was there. It's all there, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if Orla is playing two different characters or the same thing, or what's going to happen. Bearing in mind that we're still in the past of an altered timeline. We're still not anywhere near Prime. And if that hurts your head, well, take two aspirins and call Janeway and Terry and David Mack and everybody else in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I will try not to report you to DTI, Department of Temporal Investigations. So, hey, everybody. So I'm going to say this about the Oscars and Will Smith. Part of the reason this is so mesmerizing and galvanizing is that I can see about 7 or 8 different levels suddenly. Everything from lovingly spoken but abusive parents to demise of Black fatherhood and parenting and standing up for family, to trying to make families work, to respect for sufferers of alopecia, and to comedians thinking that the free speech line is being trampled now by PC-ness, to the demand of people not being disrespected in the name of comedy, to I mean, I just saw so many levels in there. Who's apologizing, who's not, to historical figures and people being dramatized, being dragged into, I mean, or not being dragged into real life debate. What's the propriety and the right way if you have a grievance to do it on live TV? People who are trying to come from a deficit of respect and what that does on all the levels. I just immediately saw, and I could see a lot of people's immediate reaction was coming to whatever their life story meant. Had they been an abuse victim? Were they a comedian? Were they concerned with free speech on either side of the question? Were they coming from family trauma? Were they coming from, I don't know, were they coming from civil rights, or, the rights of the medically disadvantaged? And that entered into it. Was it a teachable moment on any level? Was that what the thing about glossing over tragedy in the name of something bigger, and sidelining issues to put on a happy face? I mean, there was just so many people were stirred and buttons pushed on all so many levels. I was just sitting here thinking, well, I knew they were trying to get people to watch the Oscars. I don't think this is. And some of the bits, some of the rest of the show was very touching. There were so many call outs to everything from animal rescue to the Ukraine situation, to go down the line, mental health, to the the CODA community. I mean, there's so much of that. I think I didn't see, but I think the ratings were still a little down. I don't know. Maybe they picked up halfway through. But I'm sitting here with my typical, I'm over the side of the room watching everybody else in the room behave and react 8 different ways. And it was really an astounding moment. It didn't really, though I'm sure someone will find a way to do it, it didn't really break down for once on any kind of political overt line. I just thought it crossed the whole bizarre situation, just crossed so many lines and fault lines, and it was baffling to some people that it went that way. But a lot of people had their immediate hot take and who they were defending or speaking up for, and I totally get it, because I could see you're going to react that way based on what your backstory is, what your passion is, what you may be trying to champion now. And I see it all over the place. I see it from all around the room. If we want to talk more, then we can talk more. Aside from Avery Brooks knocking out Gul Dukat, had there been sloppy last? Christoph, you're trying to get an old school K3 here outside of the fence of Portal 47. Yeah, there's one in particular I remember. It was in Cupid. Oh, and by the way, I have an Instagram to post. I found another set discovery. We found another location discovery nailed down. But yes, during the shooting of Cupid, someone handed Jonathan, during one of the fight scenes, and of course Cupid is the Sherwood Forest, Nottingham, Robin Hood scenario that Q puts the crew into, I'm not a merry man, etc. And during the fight scene, the melee scene, Jonathan is supposed to get hit over the head with a spear. Well, someone handed the stunt person a spear that was not a breakaway. It was a solid wood, and Jonathan got hit across the face and cut an eye, and they had to take him to, fortunately, the very nearby hospital, right down from Descanso Gardens, and took care of it. And it wasn't really serious. It could have been worse. He could have lost an eye, could have had his eye poked out, but it didn't happen. That's one right off the bat I can think of. So there you go. Original series was bad. The Spock scuffle during Is There in Truth No Beauty, when Spock comes out of his rage because he didn't put his visor on and he saw the Medusan. He saw Kolos with the mind meld. Eddie Paskey hurt his back and was Lieutenant Leslie no more because it hurt his back so badly. He was just doing his own stunts, but he got thrown in the melee kind of, ad lib stuff with a couple of stunt people involved. But he was on the periphery, but got thrown over a red bridge railing and hurt his back. And that was the end of his Starfleet career. That's, another random one. And aside from, who was it? The great late Elizabeth Daner, Sally Kellerman, getting bee stings during the making of Where No Man at the crazy sets down at 40 acres. Not 40 acres, well, nearby 40 acres. Desilu Culver still. Yes. Okay, there you go. I imagine that. Patricia Tallman almost knocked out doubling for Nana. Could totally see that. Maybe it's Kirk Thatcher's character. I don't know. Angry at Star Trek Picard episode 4. Well, when I say angry at the timeline and perceiving it as a muddled mess done by hack writers who didn't have a plan. That was where the anger came from, I think. But I'm talking online samples. I saw people who were confused and asked questions. This was a minority. I saw just a lot of people baffled, confused. I saw people react to the explanations socially with, oh, okay. I saw some people, a minority, react with, that makes no sense. WTF does that mean? It doesn't change anything. It's still a mess. He should not have remembered the neck pinch. I mean, it just, people are like going to die on that he should have remembered the neck pinch hill. Or how could he have remembered the neck pinch? Come on, gang. Texture, not trip. Oh, did I lose? I lost a board. Texture, not trivia. Hashtag. Okay, I will let you all hash out the Patricia Tallman story. I'm sure it's findable there. What are you saying here, Robert? A lot of the on-the-nose social comment. Oh, Guinan's lying about they don't wear suits in this century. They don't wear hoods in this century. They wear suits. Yeah, for the American audience anyway, that really hit home. Probably preaching to the choir and not arriving at the people it should arrive at anyway. And if it would, they probably wouldn't hear as it's too on the nose. They'd instantly go into defensive mode. Maybe. Cairo, you would be amazed, though, I think, at how some of this has gone right past people. Like all the more conservative Star Trek fans who didn't see between the lines from the 60s. I'm kind of amazed. But then I've realized that in the 80s, and it was the Reagan era, and there we go. Yes, Brian, exactly. No wonder time travel gives Janeway a headache. That was a perfect comeback line after 30 years of Star Trek. That was perfect. Let's see. Okay, well, there you go, Christoph. Not to dwell all day on the Will Smith thing today, but there you go. It was Tim Russ who punched Patricia Tallman. Oh, in the melee, right, in the Dax survival instinct. Is that what it was? The theft of Dax from Jadzia episode, where Tim was playing a Klingon, and there was all the fighting and ops. And that's good. We'll consider it closed there. Let's see. Oh. Did I misquote? Yeah. This is where I go. In the old days, we all got Return to Tomorrow, Tomorrow is Yesterday, and all our yesterdays were the three. People knew the plots. They knew what happened in the episodes. It was very easy to tongue tie and get the tomorrows and the yesterdays mixed up. And this happens to me with Future's End on Voyager and Future Tense on past tense on DS9, and future tense, yes, on Enterprise. Damn you, Brandon. Seven and Raffi in the car. Yeah, I mean, I even went back to Kirk and Spock in the Model T, in the Flivver, in Piece of the Action, right? And it's been that's been echoed a couple of times since, but there we go. This is what the thing that upset me the most, Glenn. This is what I'm saying. Of everything that happened in Picard, in Watcher episode 4, title episode. In Watcher, you see what happens with the streaming shows is the title. Years later, you think that title was about the title is like the thing that happens at the end of the episode. It's like the goal of the episode. But then when you get into the person, it's like the red suit, the Red Angel. The Red Angel episode isn't about the Red Angel. It's at the end of the episode they get to the Red Angel, and then the next episode is really about the Red Angel. But that's the trick you get into with streaming, because you're titling episodes not to be about the episode, but you're titling it to be a tease as much as a promo. Anyway, yes, my biggest moment was the car chase and how easily they adapted, how easily she picked up the wheel, and how easily Raffi even knew what a seatbelt was and how to put it on. But they did play with that for a moment. They played with all of that for a moment. And again, I'm going to say my headcanon is that Tom just dragged her into a lot of his car hologram, his holoprograms over the years. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Pallid Sun. There's a red blurb across the top that says a Dixon Hill mystery. And at the bottom, it says by Tracy Torme. Absolutely. There you go. There you go. This was not an acronym. ICE was not an acronym and out of control until the last 5-6 years. I think it had been a sleeping issue, and then it flared up with the former guy's term, just in sheer cruelty. I'm glad we're treating Ukrainian refugees with such respect now, as opposed to Mexicans or Palestinians or anything else around the board. Hi, Tanner Waterbury. I know you've been with us before, but I don't think often. But hello. It's all prime timeline, Larry. But are you ready for prime timeline? There you go. They are going deep with all the references in this season. Yes, and you love it, even though you probably get only part of it reading and listening to a lot of Trekkies analyzing. It does help a lot, though. That's true. Can I just say this? Can I be radical? Here, I'm going to have an old man on the lawn moment. I'm not going to yell at anybody. I'm just going to sit in my rocking chair and silently think to myself, having everybody 24/7 talking about this. I know promotion-wise, the marketers love it. For one thing, it's happy talk, not hate talk, as opposed to the first year or two of Discovery. And that's a good thing. For the most part, it is. These people who just think it's a mishmash of time and they won't even read the explanations, and then they resent being told to read the explanations because it should be on the show. Them aside, most of the world is enjoying the hell out of this. So good on that, and good on the show for having some positive buzz. But that said, there was a time when I miss being able to do this on my own and reflect without thinking like I either have to get out in the arena and scream it with everybody else, or keep it to myself and feel like I'm out of it. There's a time when I wish this all didn't go manically 24/7. That's an anathema now. I know that's sacrilege to say that in the era of socials and streaming. I know I am basically like cutting down the customer base to watch the show, apparently, if you say something like that. So I'm not going to. This is all good. But a little piece of me just wishes we weren't all instantly into instant high deep communication, everybody 24/7. There, I said it. Okay. See, I, Well, Captain Calvin, this is exactly what I'm saying, and I bet somebody else has jumped in the chat. I'll just see how this progresses. I will just see how this progresses. Well, this is an interesting take, Glenn. Now we can be here all day once we get on this level across the board. So I don't know what's going to come up with everybody, but that was an interesting take. See, that's an issue, Cairo. You don't know how far the inflection point changing the Confederate. Here's the other thing, everybody. Underlying all this bit about temporal mechanics, it's a Q thing. So all bets are off. And now apparently it's a Q thing from a Q who is not well, which is going to be really interesting to see play out, especially the Guinan Q, whatever that was. It's going to be interesting to see play out. Here's the thing, Halbjorn, the punk on the bus and Kirk Thatcher, a lot of what he did there, the little minute details, was improv. It wasn't in the script. Writers didn't intend it. He's doing it thinking it's fun. Kirk has obviously not lived in truck world. He's had his own career. He's doing a lot of geeky fun stuff and indie stuff, and forgot when you go off script, even for a nanosecond, it's going to have, talk about your butterfly effects. It's going to have butterfly effects across the waves. It's not quite the same as Layla saying nuclear vessels out loud when she wasn't supposed to in Star Trek 4. A little more repercussion than that. Yeah, Dan, we could be on this one all day. I think I agree with you, but maybe I don't because I have a headache. Oh boy. Now guys, if the chat is going to descend into this, I'm never going to take on a timeline topic, an alternate timeline topic again, ever. Because if the chat's just going to go to everybody putting out their theories, we won't ever settle anything. And chat is not the best medium to be talking about this in anyway. And the thing I'll say here, Calvin, is that you're thinking linearly, not the fact that the whole Picard and Data situation with Guinan in 1893 happened had to have been launched from that timeline. If that timeline didn't happen, there was no launching point. And that's what they're saying. And you're talking about the Fed. We still don't know everything about that inflection date and exactly what that means and what future events occurred that affected past events. And that was a cycle loop that's going to happen. And now you gave me a headache, Christoph, just talking about closed captions and languages. So I'm going to skip right on past that. Yes. April is becoming a very popular month in Star Trek. Well, Marco, if you're still with us, hi. If you're not still with us, bye. Yes, and I think we got around to this, Cairo. Yes, absolutely. Kind of a lateral thing there. It kind of is. It's very interesting why they went with 2024, unless it was to be 6 months before the Bell riots. Interesting. Yeah. Did I set everybody up a tizzy? Yeah. And this is true. This is what Terry told me. Good on you, Dan, for knowing this. He started off with the season, got it launched, and then decided that the plan for the third season was going to take up so much that they had to split focus, and he opted to go really with the third season, although his fingerprints are all over this. So if you're talking about why he hasn't been on camera as much, you're right. That's probably a reason. I just think personally it's unfair that Terry has had no FaceTime at all, although he's been talking to reporters and whatever, and promised me when the dust is settled that we'll have a good sit down too. This is true. This is true, Michael. In the moment, they looked at him baffled. Oh, Tom, that's your thing. But I would just say to that is number one, Seven was not like most Voyager crew. And if you have a thread about her trying to regain her humanity, then something about the mechanics of antique vehicles and the Borg being organically nuts and boltsy, analog hardware-y. I'm just saying. Anyway, it's an available theory. It makes sense. It works. And for right now, that's my canon in a vacuum. I guess the modern term would be it's my head canon, but somebody invented that, and I had the concept of a canon in a vacuum 20 years ago. So until right now, that's what I'm going to say. It's not coming, really, canon in a vacuum is coming from some unofficial source. The unofficial source in this case is my head. So that's that. Well, I'm glad we're accomplishing some educational matters here today. We're doing some good. Or at least clarifying the issues at stake. There we go. So this is good to hear for all you guys across the pond. How you'll be able to see Strange New Worlds or Paramount Plus is coming. So at least after that hoopla, you guys aren't being ignored or not thought about, or your true slice the pie. Right. David is working on the animateds as a consultant, but they still are they're intertwining, and it's not exactly if Dayton and David and now Dr. Aaron don't all talk. So they all have to keep up with each other. So you're right. David's name is not the one in the credits at the end titles. Just trying to get out of the box a little bit. Let's see. Well, yeah, Glenn. This is true. Hashtag texture not trivia, especially when you need it. I would just say that things like pipes and gears and metal on metal and the way things work, that's one thing. Social interaction and buzzwords of the moment, that would be the kind of thing that threw off Sarah Silverman. So wouldn't it be awesome if Sarah Silverman showed up? Although Rain Robinson would be 30 years older, 28 years older, which is about what it is. Sarah Silverman could play Rain Robinson now. Such adroit timing there. All right, saved you all that. Hey, Rusty. Oh, not taking it, huh? The whole episode was roadkill? You're a pusher backer on the whole timeline. They arrived on the main timeline prior to Q's involvement, so the events in TNG would be in play until the event that creates the cutter, regardless if they traveled from the Confederation future or not. Okay, it's a free country. I'm just glad that somebody has put enough thought to paper, even if there is an oopsie moment in it still, but at least went to the trouble of trying to set something down. I'm fine with going along as it is. Like I said, I'm only upset that I had to come up with a stunt car moment there in retcon. Justin, this whole timeline debate argument has made your head hurt as much as the old school Kirk or Picard. Really? Really? You don't think this is like an elevated? Who would win in a debate, Kirk or Picard? I just wanted to go, oh my God, who cares? Why would it happen? It's like the old Enterprise versus Death Star or X-Wing or Star Destroyer or whatever. Yeah. And then, of course, you have people that said Picard, obviously. Yep. Hi, Robert. Good to see you, man. And thanks for being a Patreon. This is the problem if you bring up the whole timeline thing. I'm trying to talk about it as a thing, not wade into the weeds myself. But there you go. And then, of course, it's 2022, so someone is going to say Janeway. Exactly. Yes. And yeah, Lorraine McFly Baines from Back to the Future, directing episode 2 and 3. Absolutely. Yeah, Leah Thompson, who I had a crush on back then. Let's see. This is true. Like I said, Terry ran 12 Monkeys for 4 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, this is what was interesting, and the Aegis book line used Mestral, who was a Vulcan in Pennsylvania in 1957, used him as a character, an elder Vulcan who's aging slowly. Used him, now not in the Confederation timeline. That's not what was part of these, but yeah, yes. Let's see. Okay, Rusty. Well, we've got a Renee Picard now, so we've got actual stuff to put in from in between. It would still be post the Federation, though. No, it'd be pre-Federation Day. So, the next sci-fi show that promises no time travel has my vote. I don't know, Christoph. Can any sci-fi show resist that temptation? I don't know. I love someone said, I want to time travel back to, what was it? To sit on it to the 60s and stop City on the Edge of Forever from being written to avoid time travel. And I immediately said, well, you need to go back to Naked Time. Remember? There was a 3 days time loop in Naked Time. Thank you, though, Dan. Number 250 last week. It is kind of scary, but there you go. Okay, we got misfires. Every series has those episodes no one likes. This was one of those for me. Fair enough. But it was cool to see Floyd the Barber's window in the background. Right? Can we? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes, Dan, I'm figuring that out. And I saw him months ago, and there's so many people I meant to check up on, and he's one of them. Yes. Okay. That's interesting, Rusty. Yeah. But see, this is what self-awareness does. Better to do that than not to. Yeah, I have for years. It's my affectionate name for all the memory alphans and the level that some of the debate discussions get into. Kind of started for all the years they hung on to the 3/4 star chart first scene in conspiracy, even though it had been bypassed on camera. The idea of on-screen being evolved past, and we have to figure out what to do with the earlier, but the earlier is certainly not the driving force anymore. When 10 and 15 and 20 years go by and someone is still clinging to something because it was first, or it was cool when it was first seen, it's like you gotta spread it. You've got to blend it in somehow. You can't go with that and ignore the 15 other points that came along later. Okay. We haven't even reached the birds yet. Oh, the parrots. Okay. Yeah, I was worried about packing it too much. I wanted to get to April, but I didn't want to ignore how wacky the fandom reaction was this week. And I wanted to make a case for follow people's creatives and keep your closed captions turned on when you're watching. I wanted to make that point. The birds. Some would say this whole season has been for the birds. Ah. Yeah. Well, really, Rusty, they were only married a couple of years, and it was long ago. And Dave's had completely long life now with 2 teenagers since he and Lily have been together. So it's ancient history to everybody except those who lived in the ancient days. And yes, you are, Halbjorn, and thank you very much. Well, see, this is what I mean, Dan. Sometimes you can go down the rabbit hole in weird ways. You can get so bureaucratized that things, yes. Okay, I'm not going to get into the music cues and the earworms, which is always a weird term to me. Yes. When you get stuck on a song, to me, it has nothing to do with the ear. It has to do with the brain. I always used to say stuck on my brain because it's not in my ear. It's up here, not in here. And the whole thing about the earworm, I never got it, especially after Star Trek 2. Now that was an earworm. And that had nothing to do with the stuck song either. Yeah, it's not, Memory Alpha is not going to be on its way out, but for one thing, there needs to be something alternative. Yeah. So yeah, Susan, I debated just making the whole show today about April. I would have last week, except everything we dominoed a little bit, and last week had to be number 250. So, but I'm glad to be finally sitting down long enough to learn some of the newer tools here. Still in the baby steps, but finally getting some media in. Yeah, that means, thank you, Christoph, but that means Larry's books need massive updating. And books don't pay a lot when you're trying to pay bills. If you can do them as in a synergistic way as icing on top, that would work. But it's hard to get out there and pioneer something on top of everything else. Yeah. That's interesting. Well, they are keeping, that's very interesting, Dan. They are keeping up. I've noticed, again, it's part of the mania. I used to have 6-9 months. My deadline to do a new TNG concordance every year was the next local convention to go sell 50 copies at. That's much more reflective time than instantly churning something out. So unfortunately, no. It's a kind of a common lineal name, but unfortunately, well, I shouldn't assume. I should ask. I'll ask Eric if he's any relation to Jessica. We'll see. We'll see. Tobias, I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for your one-time patronage. Yep. And there you go. Annie Wershing is coming to FedCon. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Eric has been around. And this was by 96 he was starting to climb the ladder. Yeah. You met him personally? You had him to one of the cons personally? That's awesome. Uh let's see. How are we doing on the Oh my god, I'm so far behind, guys. All the books will eventually go out of date and need updating. Hi, Zahir. This is one of my peccadillos. It should be inertial damper, but everybody from next gen on thinks the word should be dampeners. Like we're going to throw water at our laws of physics. And to the point, it's been so dumbed down that now the dictionary says that either term is accurate. But if you want to be actual and original, if you don't want to throw water on the laws of physics, it should be inertial dampers. But it's been done so long, right out of the writer's room, that they accept both now. But I will always come down on the side of dampers. Or are you laughing at me because I said this already somewhere? Okay. Well, see, Glenn, this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see in our bubble here in Trekland, in Trek World, it felt like a big kerfluffle. Or I mean, we've had some kerfluffles. This wasn't a kerfluffle. This was just a big, honest, good, old-fashioned fangirl debate. This was like a good bar trivia fight thing. And I would have liked to have seen, I would hope that a good old-fashioned background debate like this, and on 3 or 4 different levels, could get up to the limits of when people were screaming about women of color are in the lead and that kind of crap. That's what got Discovery really on the cusp, out of the gate back in the day in 2017. Sadly, I think when things calmed down is when the bubble went down. But there you go. Okay, thanks guys for putting these links in. I'm sure everybody got to it if they wanted to. Yeah, the whole book this is a topic, Dan. We should have somebody on to talk about this, because with so much Trek being done and so long fused, you're writing 1 year, you're filming it the next year, and then you're showing it. It's been so long from when content is known by the makers to when they can talk about it publicly, which drives me crazy. Now, how are you supposed to write a book about any of those, and with all these different eras, all the corners of the Star Trek timeline are occupied. It's like, it must be a nightmare. You've got to tell the most innocuous, tiny slice of known canon timeline ish. And there's still no guarantee that 5 years from now, someone won't go back and tell a story that either, if not time travel, at least depends on a part of that saga right there. Like the Pegasus mission. Hi, Liebchen. Yes, this is live. Did you hang around? I think you've been with us before, right? Everybody's depends on what the definition of Trek is. Glory to you and your definition of Trek. Yeah. See, I've been wondering, you could get away in 1968 because no one the hell knew in the States what Doctor Who was, and kind of vice versa with Trek. And now people with the BBC is going to sue if they try to make a Gary Seven series. They'll say, you've stolen the concept for. Of course, they would have dates on paper. And then someone would say, well, this is after 1963. So, yes, I was so thrilled to see that April Tatro, finally. We tried to get her to Vegas 2 or 3 years ago, pre-pandemic, when we first unveiled her in 2019. And it was. She did get to Europe though, but I'm glad. I'm so thrilled for April to get it there. You heard it here first. How did I know that was you, Jared, before I saw your name? Larissa's Grudge in human form. There we go. There we go. And we've got Assignment Earth, and yeah, okay, fine. Now I've got to get Orla and April in a photo together, right? Or something? Okay. Yes, the Watcher is a future cat. Hey, I got news for you, Christoph. The Watcher can be a past cat or a present cat. It doesn't make any difference. Exactly, Dan. There was a very bizarre picture with round ears and different hair. Isn't there a glowy eyes one also? Yeah. We'll see how it connects to Laris per se versus. Well, else why have Orla Brady play the character if it doesn't relate to Laris somehow or Laris relate? Yeah, somebody's faking something. I'm just saying. Let's see. Yeah, the whole Girardi Borg Queen thing, people are praising Alison Pill's acting and the dynamic, and it is good. But the hell with that. What does it mean for the story? Well, this is a thing, Melanie. This is the thing because Gary Seven's time was, 100 years before Vulcan landing? 2067, 2068. No, it was the week before. Was it the week before Apollo 11 in retrospect? Yeah. It's from 1969 too. So there you go. No, she did not direct the first episode because she has 3 and 4. I think Tunde had 1 and 2. I could be wrong, totally wrong on that. Or he was Discovery. Oh God, I haven't done a dive where I wade through every detail. I really am missing that. Can I have the time? Can someone clone my time so I can do what I enjoy doing instead of all the things I do for work, which I also enjoy? But one side pays the bills and one side doesn't. Mm-hmm. Really? That's an interesting story, Jared, and not to risk going back to Will Smith, Chris Rock, but that's a Chris Rock story. He said he was a Scottish play in a stage on the theater. That's funny. That is funny. Hello, Adam. Glad you could join us. Yes. Oh, wrong one. Picard with an eye patch. Yeah. There you go. Leah Thompson acting as Dr. Diane Werner from an official preview. 4th and 5th picture. This is what I thought. She directed 3 and 4. That was her block. Yeah. Oh, Linda, not as late as I was, but it's good to see you. And Dave, good to see everybody. Got a lot of Portales jumping in here, as well as you Patreon folks. Let's see. Hi, Louise, coming over from YouTube. I hope you've got me subscribed over there. And the chat pack. See, we're overlapping our circles. Some of you should tell everybody else what the chat pack is. I would let you do that if you wanted to. Well, we're glad you got it here, Linda, as always. Cairo, what a yellow light means. There's a lot of jokes around this. Sometimes people say yellow light means slow down, caution. Some people say yellow light means speed up. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I know. Thank you, vernacular. Comedy Forecast. Hi. If this is your first time with us or you are someone else really, yeah, please subscribe and spread the word over there on YouTube. Yeah, I saw you talking about the sideburns. Okay, okay. Yeah, they had a good deal on Spirit Gum. That's what you're saying. Oh, I said survival instinct. Invasive procedures. Invasive like surgery. Yes, thank you, Christoph. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, but then, oh my God, yes. Jeff is. I wish I could talk Jeff into coming on something. He's kind of retreated back, but I'm glad he's at least sharing things online again. It's what we did from Friday to Sunday at cons. I missed the setup there. Liebchen, sorry, I've been criticized for saying spoilers too much, but yeah, the name of the show was 6 days later. Renee, Terry, and April. Sorry about that. Yes. But I mean, good on you for hanging in. How do you navigate online Trek though if you're trying to let a whole 10-week season go by first? I mean, I admire if you're able to pull that off. See, we binge Mandalorian and the other thing, the other guy, Boba Fett. But I don't care about Star Wars. I'll see stuff go by and go, oh, okay. I'll have to see that. But that's Star Wars. It's not Star Trek. In the era of anti-social media, we must leap before we look. Mm. And now it's a broken Q thing. Yeah. Maybe. Could have been Calvin. Could have been Calvin. Yes. Yeah, the Europa mission has been all over the place. It's been a background ad all over the place. Renee, of course, was in episode 1. Hello, Rose. Hope you're doing okay. I'm catching up. What do we want? Time travel. When do we want it? That's a revelation. Yes, slightly. Looks like there will be a New York City premiere for Strange New Worlds in May. First in-person one-on-one in the East since 2019. Well, I've been saying that. I wondered if Strange New Worlds would get the first in-person standard premiere, and our premieres of the virtual kind will be a thing of the past. We'll see. I thought the same thing, Rusty. April 15th. Something about somebody's taxes? Yeah. Yeah. This is the one that I saw Terry's remarks in clip form, but yeah. David put out the an easily shareable blog post that I tried to do. Although his little diagrams didn't make it. I had to pick out the one that was the prettiest. You need to see all 4 of them in sequence, but yeah. No, Dan. That doesn't surprise me at all. Back in the day, when they were doing cause and effect, the loop that ends up with Bateson and the Bozeman, people were having a hard time understanding that. And I want to say it was Robert Weimer directing. It wasn't really technically time travel, but the reality within reality within reality of Riker's play. And I've gone blank. I can think of Time for Breakfast, the play within the play, but someone's going to yell at me. But people were confused about the reality within the reality in that one. And it wouldn't be the first time that directors, much less actors, were confused about the status quo of things. It's all going to get unraveled. It's all going to be found out. It will be interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this would be interesting, Calvin, that maybe Seven is the Mirror Confederation antique expert instead of Paris. But this is our Seven. She was in a bubble. All the crew who were on the Stargazer that woke up in this reality unaware of themselves and each other, the 6 or 7 of them, it's like the first mirror crossover bunch. Everybody knew who everybody else was. And she was from Prime. So good try on that one. Yes, that trailer just. Hi, Sophia. How are things in Portugal? The new SNW trailer with focuses on Uhura did drop. It's very interesting. It's a lot of fun. A lot more shots and scenes. I haven't had so time. I'm thinking that maybe there will be a trailer premiered in a couple of weeks at Chicago. It's at Mission Chicago. We'll see. Comedy forecast. I think it's going to be sounds like it's going to be a torturous season for Girardi. We'll see. We'll see. Wanted now. I know. Exactly. This is the beauty of being off this much. Exactly. Uh, as they should. I thought this was already part of it, but there you go. Vaccinations or a negative test. Oh, they're going to do negative tests. Okay, well, that's a hassle, but there you go. If a Raffi learns to dry cat. Exactly, Cairo. Exactly. Why else have an official convention if you're not going to do official acts? And why not celebrate being back live again? Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. It took me a second, Susan. I was thinking the ready room, not center seat. Yeah, Sarah Silverman's is all over the place. Social media, podcasts, some feel good things she's trying to do. Um, Actually, thank you, Susan. They had me. I went in on 4 different days, 3 days, and then a fourth day when they got the extra order for 2 more episodes. So yeah, it was. I figured out the hours one time, but it was probably like 4 and 4 and 3 and 5 or something insane. But it was probably 15 hours total. I wore the same shirt every time, trying to help out. Um, yeah, Dan. Yeah, I don't know what you've been told, but anybody watching the series knew that they spent way too much on that set for it to go away. Same thing as seeing the Enterprise in 2 episodes of Discovery. There was way too much done there for that to be or just go back in the warehouse and be the standard extra sets. If Raffi learns to drive in the 25th century and it's not in the episode, does she really know? I mean, if anyone knows how to drive a 21st century car, it's she. Um, you saying like that should be her instinct? Not sure. Okay. Let's see. Cool. Thank you, Christoph, for asking, and thank you, Dan, for saying all of the Center Seat episodes, all 10, are available on Amazon Prime in Europe. Say yay. Oh, and they just started in March. See, they were last fall here. And they're available ad-free on IMDb TV via Amazon Prime. So there's a shout out for that. You loved what episode, Linda? This episode? Wow. Okay. Number 250, To Infinity and Beyond. There are 11 episodes. Maybe one of them is a trailer or a preview. I think it's an even 10. This was the first non-Lower Decks episode of Trek that you wanted to watch in years. Good, Scott. Just to try to catch everything. You mean this episode, or you mean Watcher? It's not The Watcher, it's Watcher. You know, which means 20 years from now, if they want to do a new episode on some future series, they can call it The Watcher, because Watcher is what this was called. Just saying. Looking at you, Emissary and The Emissary. Okay. Well, that's true. It was people being facetious, Dan. That's what it was. Yeah. Cordwainer Bird. Yes, absolutely. we see Crouge referenced in a Star Wars show. I don't know. Pulling the pin and throwing it out there, Assignment Earth. In regards to what, Glenn? We've already talked about Assignment Earth. Totally stuck on that. Yeah, Picard driving the Argo in STX. It was Nemesis. There is no STX. You're ahead of me, huh? I don't care what's on the disc. I want to know what was on the poster in the theater. They can people are unhinged that work on DVDs 20 years later. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. That doesn't prove anything. I'm talking about the official name was Star Trek Long Dash, the motion picture. That's what the title is. That's what our style was all the years I was editor at Communicator. Yep. The formal style from the studio. And that may be what the Akutas still have in the latest encyclopedia too. That was our style guide. That's why you have a style guide. You don't just blanketly cookie cutter everything. How else do you think we keep history from being blurred? Now, if you want to have a list and say ST:X is on the DVDs from such, that's fine. Please, let's list every annotation, and please list all the incarnations and when. Let's please get that out there and not blur and fuzz everything together. Thank you, John X, for posting that. That's even more immediate than being. See, they were going to get to my Facebook page, but that's okay. It's okay. Fine, be helpful and immediate. Let's see. How are we doing here, gang? Okay. The end of the chat up here. Thank you, Christoph. Let's see. Hey, William. I don't know. I'll be with family, and I may even have a third person with me when I'm in SoonerCon. But you'll be at SoonerCon, right? Right. Library's about to close. See you all next week. There we go. Director Leon Vance being a part-time. Yeah. Oh, well, I wish I'd known this. Picard was number 2 in Germany on the Parrots. And yes, Paul Wesley is one of the vampires in Vampire Diaries. Did he play football in the Vampire Diaries? Yes. Oh my God, it's 3:45. Absolutely. Where Grudge contacts the Discovery by herself. Yes. Which of us is Dean Martini? Yeah. Um, Anne Marie, I can tell the twinkle in your eye from your typing. Yes. Everybody's getting funny at the end. Uh, okay. Okay. We're going to wrap this up. Yes. And the DS9 bunch is doing a gig. Yes. The Rat Pack is doing a gig at FedCon too. Absolutely. And a Johnny and Brent and John morning show. Well, that'll be awesome. That will be awesome. Well, Cairo, in case you hadn't noticed it, there's a lot of Trek out there, period. So FedCon was started as an all Trek convention. The idea that it's not all Trek still throws me, but you're adapting the times. The times they are changing back to what they used to be. I hope that doesn't give you a headache. We don't have time to talk about the time. Mm-hmm. Not that you're against it, right? Hmm. Oh, okay. See, Stephen, it's been everything is so splintered. No one knows the territory. People are trying to figure things out. I'm going to be doing something depending on who I'm partnered up with, but this is good to know. Saturday at 7:30. Have you guys done some recon? Have you got some inside info about how things are laid out? We may have to talk. I know people love the virtual. Maybe they'll hybridize it and have half and half. We'll see. Something like the way Star Trek Day was last fall. Frame of mind. Thank you. Okay. It was Q all along. Yeah. This is what I keep trying to say, John. My God. Yes. Well, 10 days, 2 weeks. I've got too much crap to do, Cairo. Yes, I am. I think we're going to go to the live premiere here, and there's going to be a live premiere on the lot next Monday, and we're going to go supposedly. So yay. Yes, because you all know what Larry hours look like. We're just trying to get them crammed in the day. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. Oh, you loved the last Picard episode. Good. What? You didn't love my last episode? What? Okay. It's all well. We'd see. We'll have to go. I should ask Michael Chabon more about that. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. There were two. One was ships and one was guest stars. Okay. I'll double check. You totally could be right. I was thinking it was 8 and 2. Glenn, don't even start. Don't even start. Thank you, comedy. STTMP. Okay, well, they lost that one. It's still VGR, which is what we all decided on in the 90s. Because Voy just looked so weird. Okay, everybody. Well, by the time I got there, it was overwhelmingly Star Trek because nobody from Star Wars starring would do conventions. And the pool of underling actors was so small back in the day. But I'm talking about the 80s, right? If not the 90s. Linda, you're in Chicago. That's right. With a W, so the West Building. Okay. Sophia, glad to have you with us too. Take care there in Portugal. Always glad to have the world with us. I have no idea about Halo. I had no idea and no care, except that I wish them well. That's going to do it for us, gang. I think that's more than enough chat. And lordy, look how late it is. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for all of our Live Wires help and our TTLers. If you want to help out with the Patreon, it's patreon.com/livewire. Just simple $5 and $10 level every month. I don't make a big deal out of that. If you are wanting to know more about the Roddenberry Tour coming in August 20th and 21st, the weekend before Vegas, Saturday and Sunday, drop me a line. I'm going to have the page finalized here in the next week, but I want to get the word out there right now. That's happening very quickly. Also, on the other end of Vegas, the day before, we have a one-day Valley of Fire tour. Get to geeknationtours.com. It's right there in the opening spread, the next upcoming tours. It's just a one-day. We have a lot of fun. It's 8 hours long, even though it's one day, and we do get you back. We get out early before it gets to the heat of the day, and we're back in time so you can do your Con Eve festivities in the new Bally's locale, whatever you want to do. So thanks, everybody, for that. As always, it is Larry Nemechek on Twitter and Larry Nemechek's Trekland, where you're watching right now. Also on Instagram. Love to have everybody on Instagram. I think Trek people are finally figuring Instagram out. Portal47.net if you want to do this in depth all year long, all the time. If you think Trekland Tuesdays Live is something, talk to any of the Portales on here. It's not. We're just skimming the surface. Kind of the same thing we do with the Trek Files every week. The new episode's up today, talking again with Ralph Sininsky about the original series and 2 more episodes in focus and some sidebar issues too. It's right there at Roddenberry's podcast, roddenberry.podcast.com, podcast.roddenberry.com, or the easiest thing is come to Facebook. That's where the documents are every week too. Love to have you there. Please join all the pages. Whew, I've got so much to do here in the next few days. I'm going to be at WonderCon 1 p.m. on Sunday in room 209 with John Champion and James Kerwin and Jessica Linverdi and Allison Pitt. Live conning is back with WonderCon. We'll be there on Sunday, and then Mission Chicago is the next week after that. I'm going to be boothing all weekend, taking it easy on the program side because we've got stuff to get out to the world, and we've got people to see and meet, and I'm looking forward to that community. Whoosh, you just need to get on my list. Get on my LarryNemechek.com list, and you'll get up to date on things, which reminds me I have a newsletter to do. And right now I have a tire to go fix. So, everybody, thank you so much for being with us on another Tuesday. I do that all the time. The last person gets left up. Forget to turn the light out at the end. But not today. Not today. Can't wait to see everybody. If we're crossing paths live in upcoming weeks, that'll be awesome. But even as we do, please, everybody, please stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke everywhere you are. Be open to new news, but then check it out before you plunge in too deep. And most of all, trek well, everybody.